You better start learning how to change diapers, for your unborn child and your crippled husband. The laughter that followed was thunderous, echoing through the compound like drums at a village festival. Aunties, cousins, neighbors, even the gateman, chuckled like they were watching a live comedy show. Zara stood still in the dusty compound, her arms wrapped around her belly as if trying to shield her unborn baby from the shame being thrown at them. Her brown wrapper was faded. Her slippers were old. But nothing looked more worn than her soul. Her stepmother, Mama Ronk, leaned on the veranda railing with her arms crossed and a wicked smile on her face. This is what your bad behavior has earned you. Pregnancy without a husband. You think you're a queen. See your crown now, go and marry that blind beggar. That's the only man who wants you. Zara's lips trembled. Her throat was dry. Around her, people whispered, pointed, laughed. That was the moment a tall, dark-skinned man stepped forward slowly from the gate, tapping the red sand with a white cane. His right arm hung stiffly at his side. His eyes looked lost, grayed out from blindness. A long scar curved across his jawline. This is Emeka, Mama Ronk announced proudly, like she'd won a prize goat. He's blind. He's crippled. But at least he has room and breath in his body. Be thankful. This is your new husband. The crowd broke into laughter again. One of the neighbors shouted, two broken things make one perfect match. Zara's heart screamed, but her mouth said nothing. She just stood there, surrounded by the noise, the insults, the dust, and him. This strange man. This stranger she was being forced to marry. How did it come to this? Just a month ago, Zara believed her life would turn around. She was 19. Smart. Hopeful. A nursing student at the Federal College of Health Sciences in Ebonyi State. She had dreams, to finish school, get a job in a big hospital in Abuja, rent a small flat, and maybe someday raise a family. But dreams die quickly when you lose both your parents. Her mother had died when she was 8. Her father raised her alone, pouring every drop of his energy into making sure she had what she needed. Then one rainy morning, he slumped in the bathroom. A silent death. A stolen goodbye. That same month, she moved into the home of his second wife, Mama Ronk. A woman who wore head ties like crowns and spoke with a tongue sharper than blade. At first, Mama Ronk was quiet. Cold. She called Zara, that girl, instead of her name. But after the funeral, her bitterness bloomed like weed. I didn't give birth to you, she often reminded me. Don't expect the world from me. Zara cooked. Cleaned. Slept on a mat by the kitchen door. She stayed because she had no other place to go. No money. No family. Just her education and a small scholarship keeping her sane. Then came the mistake. A charming young doctor during her internship had taken interest in her. Smooth words. Gentle hands. Promises. And before she knew it, she was pregnant, and alone. He vanished the moment she told him. When Mama Ronk found out, she screamed loud enough to wake ancestors. You want to disgrace me in this house, she shouted, grabbing Zara by the ear. You're pregnant and useless. Who will marry you now? Zara begged for forgiveness. She tried to explain. But Mama Ronk didn't want reasons, she wanted a way to wash her hands of Zara's mess. 3 weeks later, she introduced Emeka. He's not perfect, Mama Ronk had said, stirring her pot of bitter leaf soup. But neither are you. At least he has a roof over his head. You'll marry him, and that's final. Zara cried for days. She pleaded. She swore she would work harder. But the decision had been made. And now, here she was, standing in the compound, surrounded by people clapping and laughing while she was forced into a marriage with a disabled blind man she'd never met before. The ceremony was a mockery. 2 plastic chairs. A small cake with no icing. A pastor who looked more like a meat seller than a holy man. The ring was a brass loop that barely fit. Zara wore a second-hand dress Mama Ronk borrowed from the neighbor's daughter. There was no music, no dancing, just whispers and mocking. Emeka never spoke during the vows. He just nodded when told to. His face stayed calm, unreadable. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He just stood there, holding his cane like a man waiting for a bus, not a bride. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the pastor said with a crooked grin. "You may now, do whatever you like." Someone in the crowd cackled. "Let her start diaper training tonight." More laughter. But as they walked back into the house, Emeka leaned in close to Zara and whispered something that made her feet freeze on the spot. "You don't have to stay. If you run tonight, I won't stop you." Zara turned to him, shocked. She stared at his blank eyes, his stiff arm, and for the first time, something didn't feel right. Later that night, in Emeka's small one-room flat at the edge of town, Zara couldn't sleep. The room had a kerosene lamp. A sagging bed. A table with just one chair. She lay on the mat, her hands on her belly, thinking about her future. Then she noticed something. A light. It came from the corner of the room. She sat up. Emeka was there. Typing on a sleek, silver laptop. Fast. Efficient. The screen was on. Bright. He was looking at it. Focused. Calm. No voice reader. No guiding fingers. He was reading and typing like a man who wasn't blind at all. Zara's mouth went dry. She stood slowly and whispered, "You said you were blind." Emeka didn't look up. He just kept typing. Then he said something that sent shivers down her spine. "I never said I couldn't see. I only said no one ever asked." Zara's knees weakened. Her breath caught in her throat. "You said you were blind." Emeka finally looked up. His eyes, still cloudy and dull, met hers in a way that made her doubt everything. "I said what your stepmother wanted to hear," he replied calmly. "She saw my cane, my limp, my scar, and assumed the rest. I never corrected her." "But why?" Zara whispered. He shut the laptop gently and stood. Without the cane. Without help. He walked, slowly but steadily, toward her. "Because I needed a way back in. A way to stay hidden." Zara stepped back slightly, her heart pounding. "You're not poor either, are you?" He stopped in front of her. Silent. Then nodded once. "I'm not." Zara stared at him. The mattress. The torn curtains. The cracked wall. All of it suddenly felt like a stage built for a play she never auditioned for. "You live like this, by choice." "Yes. I was mocked, shamed, married off like a punishment. And you let it happen." "I had to be sure of you," Emeka said quietly. "I wanted to see who you were, when the world gave you nothing." Zara's chest rose and fell. Tears welled in her eyes, not just from anger, but from the confusion of it all. "You were watching me suffer. I was watching you survive." He walked over to the wooden cabinet and pulled out a black folder. He handed it to her. Inside, property documents, foreign bank statements, foundation licenses, business cards. "Emeka Nwobi," she read aloud. CEO. Sunrise Innovations. Lagos. Ghana. South Africa. She looked up. You're rich." "Incredibly," he said flatly. "But after the accident, I disappeared." "What accident?" His jaw tightened. "That's a story for another time. But yes, after the fire, after the betrayal, I vanished. I changed my name. Shut everything down. I told myself, let's see who I am when I have nothing. And now? Now, he said, looking into her eyes, I see someone else with nothing, but dignity. Zara dropped the folder on the bed. She turned away, clutching her chest. You should have told me, she whispered. You could have warned me. They laughed at me. They treated me like filth. I know, Emeka said. And it broke me. But I needed to be sure that you weren't like them. That you weren't just after comfort or power. Zara turned sharply. You judged me before you even knew me. No, he replied. I was watching to see if you'd give up, if you'd abandon your baby, beg for someone richer, or curse the skies. But instead, you stood tall in shame, carried your belly like a queen, and married a man you thought had nothing. He walked closer. And now, I owe you the truth. All of it. She looked at him, unsure whether to scream, cry, or collapse into his arms. The silence between them stretched like a bridge over deep water. He took out an envelope from the drawer. Inside was a key and a handwritten note. That's your key, he said. The apartment is in Asaba. Fully furnished. You can leave now. I'll make sure you're safe. You'll have everything you need. Zara's eyes widened. You're letting me go. Freedom is yours, Emeka said. Unlike your stepmother, I won't trap you. She stared at the key. Then at him. And what if I stay? Then we rebuild. From the truth. No pity. Not lies. Her lips parted, but she couldn't find words. Her mind raced, confused by what was real, what was hidden, and what this man, Emeka, truly wanted. Why me? She asked. Why did you agree to marry a girl like me? His voice dropped low. Because once, long ago, someone gave me a second chance when I was broken. I'm just returning the favor. The kerosene lamp flickered. Outside, the distant beat of drums echoed from a nearby naming ceremony. The night air grew cooler, quieter. Zara sat down, her body trembling. The same man everyone mocked, the man she was told would be her burden, had become her biggest mystery. What happened to you? She asked again. What really happened? Emeka turned away, walking toward the corner where the laptop still glowed faintly. They tried to kill me, he said. Zara's breath caught. Who? He turned back, slowly. His eyes, clouded as they were, looked like storm clouds hiding lightning. My brother. Zara blinked. Your brother? What do you mean? Emeka exhaled deeply, as if releasing something he had held in for years. He sat down on the edge of the bed, his limp arm resting across his lap. My real name isn't Emeka Nwobi. It's Obinna Chukwemeka Nwobi, son of Chief Nwobi of Imo State. My father owned one of the largest agricultural tech companies in West Africa. We were wealthy. Powerful. But that wealth poisoned everything. He paused, then continued. My elder brother, Kenneth, was the one everyone trusted. He handled most of the family business while I studied abroad. But when I came back, I found out he was using the company to smuggle illegal money through fake contracts. I confronted him. Zara sat still, her eyes wide, not daring to interrupt. One night, he invited me to dinner. I thought maybe we would talk things through as brothers. But as I drove home, my car caught fire. Zara gasped. He set you up. He had the brakes and fuel line tampered with. The car exploded on a rural road between Nsukka and Enugu. I was pulled unconscious from the wreck by a poor farmer who happened to be passing by on his bicycle. By the time I woke up in a hospital weeks later, my right arm had nerve damage, and my eyes were permanently injured by the heat and smoke. Oh my God, Zara whispered. I lost everything. My identity. My company shares. My face in society. My sight. Zara's throat tightened. What did you do? I disappeared. I faked my death with the help of a friend in the police. Let Kenneth enjoy the empire alone. But before I left, I moved a portion of the company funds into a hidden trust account, money I had earned, not stolen. I took nothing that wasn't mine. He looked at her carefully. That's the money you saw in those papers. Zara didn't know what to say. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the only person carrying heavy pain. She saw him now, not as a blind man, or a mysterious stranger, but as a wounded lion quietly watching the world burn. You could have stayed in hiding. Why come back now? Because I heard Kenneth is running for Senate. Using our father's legacy. Smiling in newspapers. Meanwhile, the man who tried to kill me walks free. He stood up again, fire rising in his voice. I can't let him rise higher while I live like a ghost. And that's why I needed someone beside me, not someone to serve me, but someone strong enough to stand with me. Not a gold digger. Not a trophy. A fighter. Zara's lips parted slightly. And you think that's me? I don't think, Emeka said. I know. She turned her face away, trying to process everything. Her stepmother had married her off to a man she thought was a burden. But that man had survived an assassination, built a secret life, and was now planning to expose his brother. And somehow, she had been chosen to stand beside him. I was never anyone's choice before, she whispered. Then let me be the first, he said gently. Silence settled between them for a moment. Then Zara asked, why didn't you tell me sooner? Because trust must grow slowly. You deserved the truth, but only after I was sure you could carry it. She turned back to him, eyes wet. And what now? He reached for a brown envelope on the shelf and handed it to her. Inside is a plan. Not just for you, but for us. But it comes with risk. We'll have to go back to Enugu. We'll have to face your stepmother. And eventually, my brother. Zara opened the envelope. Inside were photos, documents, and a small ID badge. Her picture was already printed on it with the name, Zara Chukwemeka, personal executive assistant. She looked up, stunned. You want me to work with you? No, Emeka said. I want you to walk with me. She smiled faintly. Then it faded. But Mama Ronk will never allow it. She'll do everything to ruin this. Then let her try, Emeka said. Because tomorrow morning, we will go back. Not as broken people. But as a force no one saw coming. The next morning, the village compound was quiet. Zara stood by the gate, dressed in a new black gown and head tie Emeka had bought her from the city the night before. Her belly was still round, her skin still tired, but her eyes were lit with new fire. Emeka stepped beside her, clean-shaven, in a white senator outfit. His cane tapped confidently against the ground, but this time, Zara knew it was only for show. A black SUV pulled up. The driver stepped out, dressed in a sharp suit. Oga, we're ready. Mama Ronk, peeping through the curtain from inside the house, almost dropped her spoon. Zara turned to her, held her gaze, and said calmly, we're leaving. Eh? To where? Mama Ronk rushed out. You this girl. You want to abandon your marriage? I'm going to work, with my husband, Zara replied firmly. Mama Ronk scoffed. Work? With that blind man? NN, this is how you want to disgrace me? Zara walked closer, stared her stepmother in the eye, and said, no. This is how I finally become free. Then she turned, stepped into the car, and left behind the compound, the laughter, and the chains. But as the car sped down the road, Emeka received a text message. His face grew still. What is it? Zara asked. He turned to her, lips tight. My brother knows I'm alive. The message was short. Obina, I hear you're alive. Let's not make this ugly. Stay dead. Zara gripped Emeka's hand as he read it again silently. The SUV cruised down the highway, the morning sun washing the windows in golden light, but the atmosphere inside had turned cold. Zara looked at him. What are we going to do? Emeka didn't answer immediately. His jaw clenched as he stared out the window. Finally, he said, we stick to the plan. But from this point on, we have to move like every step is being watched. Watched by who? Your brother. He has people everywhere. Kenneth doesn't do his own dirty work. He pays others to clean up his mess. And now that he knows I'm alive, he'll want to finish what he started. Zara's heart began to pound again, not just with fear, but with a fierce, growing determination. She touched her belly and whispered, then we fight smart. Emeka turned to her, surprised. You're not scared? Oh, I'm terrified, she said with a small laugh. But I've been scared before. Broke. Mocked. Abandoned. I've walked through fire already. This is just the smoke. By midday, they arrived at a quiet estate just outside Enugu city. It was modern, with white buildings and tall fences. Emeka had arranged a temporary safe house under a false name, Mr. Gabriel Uche. The gate opened smoothly, and inside was a well-kept compound with trimmed grass, 2 cars, and a young man in uniform. This is Daniel, Emeka introduced. My most trusted assistant. Daniel bowed slightly to Zara. Welcome, madam. Zara felt awkward. A week ago she was being laughed at in a compound with plastic chairs. Now people were calling her madam. Inside the house, Emeka handed Zara a file. These are the documents we'll be using to expose Kenneth. Proof of embezzlement, tax fraud, fake identities, everything. But there's one more thing I need to retrieve. Zara flipped through the file. What's missing? The flash drive. It contains voice recordings of him admitting to planning my accident. It was hidden inside my father's house, the one Kenneth now lives in. You're not saying. I need to go back there. To the lion's den. Zara's breath caught. That's suicide. Not if I go in quietly. Daniel has a cousin who works as a cleaner in that house. Tomorrow morning, he'll let me in through the servants' entrance. I'll only need 10 minutes. No, Zara said firmly. You're not going alone. Emeka looked at her. It's dangerous. So is childbirth, but I'm doing that too. He hesitated, then nodded. All right. But if anything feels off, we run. Agreed? Zara nodded. That night, she barely slept. Every noise outside the window made her jump. She dreamt of flames, betrayal, and blood. But when she woke at 4 a.m., she was ready. They dressed in dark clothes. Zara tied her hair up in a scarf. Emeka wore a cap and glasses, his cane folded and tucked into a bag. At 5:15 a.m., they were smuggled into the estate through the back fence. Daniel's cousin, Uche, opened the small gate and led them through the servants' quarters. He's not home today, Uche whispered. He went for a rally in Anambra. But be quick. The guards are still around. They crept through the tiled hallway. Everything was cleaner, shinier, colder than Emeka remembered. They reached the study, and Emeka moved to the bookshelf. The drive is behind this, he said, feeling along the spine of an old encyclopedia. He pulled it. A click. A small panel opened behind the shelf. Inside, wrapped in foil, was the flash drive. Zara let out a breath. We got it. But just then, they heard a sound. Heavy footsteps. A voice. Check the study, someone said in Igbo. Zara froze. Emeka's eyes widened. Uche whispered, someone must have tipped him off. Through the window. Emeka grabbed her hand and darted across the room. Too late. The door swung open. 4 men with batons. One had a pistol. Zara screamed. Emeka shoved her behind the couch and stood tall. You don't want to do this, Emeka said. One of the men laughed. Obina Nwobi. We were told if you ever came back, we should make sure you never leave. Emeka's hand reached slowly for the side table. A shot rang out. Zara screamed again. But it wasn't Emeka who was hit. Daniel had appeared in the doorway, pistol drawn. One of the attackers fell. Run, he shouted. Emeka grabbed Zara and dashed through the hallway. Daniel followed, shooting at the others. They burst out the back, climbed into the SUV, and sped off. Breathless. Shaking. Alive. Zara turned to Emeka in the car. Did you get it? Emeka held up the flash drive. This will destroy him. Zara smiled, but it faded quickly. Because just then, Daniel's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and turned pale. What is it? Emeka asked. Daniel handed him the phone. On it was a video. It showed Mama Ronk. Tied to a chair. A man's voice said coldly. You thought you could run. Now let's see what you're willing to trade to save her life. Zara stared at the phone screen. Her chest tightened. Mama Ronk. Gagged. Tied to a wooden chair in a dark room. Fear in her eyes, real fear. The same woman who had once mocked Zara, who had forced her into a shameful marriage, who laughed at her pain, was now the one pleading with her eyes for help. The voice in the video was deep, slow, calculated. You want to expose me, Obina? Fine. But if you send out that video or touch that flash drive, I swear, your wife's stepmother will disappear. And this time, there will be no farmer to save her. The video cut out. Zara gripped the door handle of the SUV. We have to help her. Emeka was silent, staring straight ahead. His jaw clenched. The flash drive felt like it weighed 100 kilos in his palm. She doesn't deserve this, Zara added, her voice trembling. But she's still my blood's only connection. Emeka slowly turned to her. I know. I never wanted you dragged into this part. This was my fight. But I married you, Zara said firmly. Even when I thought you were blind and broken. We're in this together now. Daniel turned the car sharply and headed back toward the estate. There's a warehouse Kenneth uses, behind an abandoned factory in Akunino. My cousin used to work security there. That's where the video was filmed. Emeka gripped the flash drive. We get her out. Then we bring down Kenneth. By nightfall, they reached the outskirts of the factory. The air was thick. Crickets chirped from the nearby bush. Daniel parked far off under a tree and handed Emeka a small earpiece. I'll watch from outside. If anything goes wrong, I call the dig in Enugu. He owes you a favor, remember? Emeka nodded. Zara tightened the scarf over her head. Her stomach was beginning to cramp, the stress and pregnancy colliding in her body. But she pushed through it. They approached quietly, crouching behind a cement pillar near the entrance. Emeka reached into his pocket and showed Zara a small black device. A GPS tracker. I had this planted in the flash drive's casing. Just in case. Zara nodded. So what's the plan? I give him the flash drive. He lets her go. We stall him. You sneak out with Mama Ronk. Once you're clear, I trigger the backup, the press, the police, the files, they all drop at once. Zara hesitated. And what about you? He smiled faintly. I'll take the fall if I have to. But not you. She reached for his hand and squeezed it tightly. They moved. Inside the warehouse, Kenneth sat like a king on a makeshift chair. Two men with machetes stood behind him. Mama Ronk sat tied and gagged to the right, eyes swollen from crying. "Well, well," Kenneth said as Emeka entered. "The ghost finally returns." "I brought what you wanted," Emeka replied, holding up the flash drive. "Let her go." Kenneth chuckled. "You look good for a dead man." Zara stood behind Emeka, eyes scanning the shadows. One of the guards moved slightly. She noticed the rope was tied loose around Mama Ronk's legs. Smart. Someone had let her have a chance. Kenneth took the flash drive. "You should have stayed buried, little brother." Then, his eyes drifted to Zara. "And you, the pregnant wife. I thought you'd be crying by now." Zara looked him in the eyes. "Monsters don't scare me anymore." Kenneth sneered. "Cute. Unfortunately, this flash drive means nothing unless I see every copy destroyed. All of them." Emeka stepped forward. "You think I'd be stupid enough to bring the original? That was a copy. The real files have already been distributed. You can't stop it now." Kenneth stood. Furious. "You're lying." Emeka stared him down. "Test me." Suddenly, gunshots outside. The guards turned. Daniel's voice screamed from the comms in Emeka's ear, "The police are in." In the chaos, Zara rushed to Mama Ronk, slashing the ropes with a small blade from her bag. "We have to move." But Mama Ronk, still shaking, grabbed her wrist. Why did you come back for me?" Zara helped her up, guiding her toward the exit. "Because no one deserves to be thrown away. Not even you." They ran. Behind them, Emeka tackled one of Kenneth's men. Kenneth pulled a pistol, aimed it at Emeka. A shot rang out. Kenneth staggered back. It was Daniel. Blood spread across Kenneth's white agbada as he collapsed. Police stormed in seconds later. Officers in black uniforms surrounded the warehouse. Flashlights blinding. Chaos. Zara turned to look back, and saw Emeka, standing tall, holding the flash drive high above his head like a symbol of justice. 3 weeks later. The headlines read: Billionaire businessman Obin Nwobi resurfaces, brother arrested in failed murder plot. Former orphan's brave testimony exposes political corruption. Zara Chukwuemeka launches foundation for pregnant girls in crisis. The sun was warm as Zara stood on the steps of a new hospital wing, her baby bump round and proud, dressed in a flowing cream gown. Behind her, Emeka cut the ribbon with his left hand while still holding her right. In front of the crowd, Mama Ronk stood quietly at the edge. Her wrapper was clean. Her expression is unreadable. When Zara caught her eye, she gave a small nod. A nod of shame. Or maybe, peace. Reporters asked Emeka, "Sir, do you have anything to say about the rumors that you pretended to be blind?" He smiled gently. "I didn't pretend. I just stopped trying to see what wasn't worth looking at." He turned to Zara. She smiled back. And in that moment, they both knew. What began as a punishment, had become a promise.